consider working out a deal. There's some massive people who sell golf clubs that only buy from golf courses.
Oh,
So something to consider. That's a more business to business relationship versus a garage sale is business to consumer. You're getting it from regular people, which means that it would not be a consistent supply.
exactly. I love to have a consistent supply. Yeah.
All right, let's go with Mickey. Mickey, good morning. What's working well?
Hey, good morning. I'll try to be quick. When I first started back with y'all and getting back into reselling consistently, I tried going back to listing all the way through, because when I work in blocks, in terms of sitting down at the computer doing a bunch of listings at one time, it's mousing a lot at one time hurts my hands. So I tried to try listing all the way through and time myself, and it was almost 1.5 times my pace. So I went back to working in blocks again and just reduced the number, working in blocks of 5. So I'll, prep 5, photograph 5, edit 5, and list 5. And that seems to work well. So I think I can bump that up over time. So that's what's working now.
Is it the repetitive motion that hurts your hand, or is it the
it's just the position on the mouse.
Okay.
I've got, deviated joints from RA. So and I'm eventually going to have to switch to a left-handed mouse. So
wow.
We'll work on that. Yeah.
That's something for everyone to consider, trying different mice, getting your position that you're sitting at really comfortable, because that is huge. If you can't work, it really affects you.
Yeah. And that's why I was also interested in, I guess it was one of the Marks who does dictation.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of interested in that process too. So
Patty was asking, did we ever come up with the best chair? So after we had that video, some physical therapists reached out and said that your posture has more to do with how you feel than your chair. So it's important to think about how you sit, where your arm position is. And that helped me a lot, Patty, because, I think I have the best chair, and it wasn't working as well as just changing my posture. Let's see. Ed bought a vertical mouse. My wife uses a mouse where her hand is this way. It's straight up and down. I don't have it here, but it's actually I do have it. Her mouse, she holds it like this. I don't know. It bothers her hand to do it the regular way. So, trackballs are really popular and they sell really well. Bolo for people who can find trackballs. They'll sell like crazy. Let's go with Nico. Nico, what's going well?
Well, I sold 2 toasters yesterday. I'm getting through all these hard goods that just don't suit me. I've listed, so many VCRs and PlayStations and all this in the last 2 days. So I'm really making myself make decisions on, whether I'm going to sell that stuff or what. And it's going well. So I probably have another day or 2 of really hard going to just list a couple more VCR TV type things, and then I should be done with that project. So I feel good about that.
Awesome. I always use toaster as the example of a random thing to sell.
Yeah, I know, but they sell really well. And yeah.
What about toaster oven?
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't pick it up. It's kind of like you have to make a decision on your storage. I think you could make your whole living on toasters. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I just can't do clothing and have room for everything, because half of my storage is bins like right here, and then the other half is all these boxes of pre-packed items, and it is tough to do both. I think for me it's a little bit stressful. So
I love toasters, toaster
yeah.
ovens, and bread makers. There's a bread
Mhm.
maker at every single thrift store.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do those, I'm sure they sell, but I feel like a bread maker is something people don't use, unlike a
Well,
toaster.
during COVID, people were getting
Mm,
outrageous prices for bread makers, bread machines.
mm.
And so I part them out, when I was doing them more. But toasters, if you get the chrome ones, those sell so well, and you don't even really have to test them. So
People store.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's something to consider. Also, Bruce is in the chat saying that retro toasters are in. Definitely retro toasters. Retro appliances in general
Mhm.
sell for great money. People love that vintage look.
And the toasters are a little different than trying to test a VCR. So I'm not saying I'll never pick up a chrome toaster if I see it, because it's too easy a money. But the more intense things that I'm not really skilled to test, I'm not going to do those anymore. So.
Do you test the toaster by making toast, or how do you do it?
Oh yeah, no, I actually do. And if it's $80 toaster, I make a quick video of it on Flipper Tools. It just takes a second. But these two yesterday that I had, they're the kind that are supposed to go down by themselves. There's no lever to push. You just put the bread in and it's supposed to lower it down. They're like from the 50s and 60s, but I sold them for parts and I still got like $50 each on these unworking toasters, because I'm sure someone knows how to fix those. And they are cool. They're very cool looking toasters. But.
I want to address something in the chat from Par V. He's saying that sales were better last year, and he's listing 5 items a day. He's listing, I think, either money notes or something random. The market can change. So if you're listing 5 toasters a day and it's COVID and everybody wants to make bread at home and it's selling like crazy, and then all of a sudden it's not COVID anymore and people are going out to eat, then the sales are going to slow down. You have to continuously adapt to what is currently selling right now. If you list items that are off trend, they won't sell, even if you have the daily listing habit. So I was actually trying to figure out how to word that, because if you have, how do you source trending items? How do you is that just, you got to be more picky when you buy things? How do we get people to source things that are on trend? Because if you're listing things randomly, you're not going to have the same results as listing things that will sell every day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something to think about, because for some reason, people don't think that you can list anything and that counts, and it doesn't. It doesn't say that anywhere. No one says that on YouTube. No one says you can list anything and it will result in sales.
Well, I don't think it's that hard to keep up on the trends, Chris. If you hang out on those bolo groups, you have more bolos in your head than you can keep track of. And when you're shopping, they actually show up, because I don't know a thing about toasters. I just, when I'm working 12 hours a day, I listen to some of those bolo things and I just happen to learn about them. So you can really go bolo to bolo and you could just go crazy and do your route and just buy all toasters while they're hot. That's very simple if you listen to those groups enough and just
I
have it in your head.
100% agree with you. It's if you but again, that's like your reseller Rolodex, right? It keeps getting better. You know what's on trend, and things that fall out of favor. I'm sure there are toaster brands that do not sell. That you could find, if it's $19.99 brand new at Target, that probably doesn't resell very well.
No.
So you would have to know that where does that brand, I forgot what it's called. There's a bunch of brands that definitely don't resell from Target. I forgot what they are, but let's see. Let's go with Thomas. Thomas, can you chat? In the UK, what is going well?
Hi, Chris. Thanks for asking. What's going well? So I'm cutting stuff out. So I've been taking your advice on chopping things out to manage my time more efficiently. So I've stopped social media. I've stopped doing Instagram, and I've stopped doing YouTube. YouTube's a fun thing for me, so I'm just going to do it as a reward. So every 100 listings I do, I'll then maybe do a short, 6-minute video as a reward, rather than just continually doing videos each week. Because for me, YouTube's just fun, right? Um, so I've done that, which is great. My spreadsheet that I had, I put in everything in individually. Well, I've sat down with my brother. I've got over 1,000 listings on the spreadsheet. I've sat down with my brother and who developed the spreadsheet for me, and we've come up. I've got a meeting with him on Saturday evening, and we're going to make it more efficient and time saving, where I only need to put a couple of entries in each month rather than individual. Because the reason I've done it individually was so I could keep track of sales and see what sells good and when. So next year I can then maybe target them particular things that sell well, because the way I could filter the spreadsheet. But what I've decided to do is, why reinvent the wheel? I'm just using therapy, and because it does it for you. It tells you trends if you know what you're doing. So so that's helped me save time. Consistent listing has really helped. My sales have really picked back up again, and since going over to managed payment, my sales have picked up. So yeah, I'm just really grateful for the group actually, and the accountability. So yeah, that's what's been going well for me at the moment.
I love it. Someone in the chat is asking if they should hold off listing seasonal items like coats and sweaters right now. My top category is still sweaters, even though it's getting warmer. So year
You
round.
said today, sorry Chris for interrupting. You said the other day, it's hot somewhere else.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's raining somewhere else. And as long as you're in the UK, as long as your global shipping program's open and available. I mean, I sold a Columbia coat yesterday for £35, and it's really warm here in the UK. But
Mm.
Scotland is still cold. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm.
I just think, like, if you've got a small store and you want quick sales, I think then yeah, go for seasonal. Buy a season in advance. Like start getting your autumn stuff in now. But I think like it doesn't matter really. I think it's always going to be hot somewhere. It's always going to be cold somewhere. And as long as you've got an item that somebody wants, somebody will buy it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's also a trend. If you do want to sell things faster, usually you would source in the current trend. Like right now, if you're really tight on your budget and you try and turn things quickly, it probably makes sense to use your small budget on summer items if you're in a warm place. So yeah, that's important to consider. Your budget and how long you're willing to wait to sell something is huge. Let's see. Shafiq is asking how you joined this call. So I have a Facebook group with my colleague Tech and Sports, and for $35.99 per month, you get this call Monday through Friday, and then we do coaching throughout the week. Tonight we're actually doing coaching for all the Patreon members at all levels, which is exciting. That's always a really good call. And then Shafiq is asking about higher logistics costs from China. This is interesting. The cost of metal is going up. The cost of bringing stuff over from China is going up. That's affecting everyone. But consumers are getting more and more savvy. So it's almost like if you're selling brand new items, you have to do even more volume because the margins are going down. It's not like consumers are really wanting to pay that much more. So I think it's more difficult for new tags. Yesterday, I talked to a seller that does $2 million in sales with 5 employees, and they make $120,000 profit with $2 million in sales, selling brand new items. That's a grind. That's a lot of stuff moving through your store to make $10,000 a month. And that's sort of maybe the future for brand new items. Bruce says if you don't list it, no one can buy it. That's right. If it's in the back room, no one can see it. Stop dropping games asking about the face. No, most people who come to the call do not show their face actually because they're working. They're either listing or prepping. So no, you don't have to show it. Let's see. How will inflation affect us? That is a good question. They just keep printing money, so I don't know. I think there hasn't really been a depression yet since this started. Not like a major one. So I don't know what if they stop printing money, it'll be crazy if that ever happens. Let's go with Brian. Brian, good morning. What's going well?
Good morning. I guess one of the things is I just got my second storage unit, and I was looking at my shelving and all the expenses as I'm listing more items. Like I'm going through about 3 bins a day, filling up with inventory. And I think it was your tip, Chris, about the boxes. So I found some 18 by 14 by 14 cardboard boxes, and I switched to that. And those are about $2 each versus I think it's probably about $6 for the bins, $6 to $8 for the bins, and they work just as fine. So just that switch, as I think I'm on bin like 264 right now. So over time, that's going to save me a lot of money. So I guess that's one improvement I've made this week.
Yeah, the boxes are definitely cheaper. Patty was talking about that earlier. Like she found some bins that were like $16, so it can be expensive. But you have to live somewhere where there's no humidity, or they will mold. But all the Amazon warehouses here are cardboard, so they don't have anything. It's not fancy. It's just cardboard, and you can reinforce cardboard with tape if it gets worn out. And they're also not tapered. They go straight down. They fit. The one thing is they don't nest though. You can't stack boxes into each other like clear totes. That's one of the downsides. Let's see. Is there a plastic corrugated version? Maybe. I haven't found one though. Let's see. Somebody's asking, would I recommend someone new to reselling have an account with only a few reviews? Yeah, I think that up to 100 reviews will help you. Over 100 feedback doesn't really help you that much. So get the first 100 without cheating. Just sell 500 items and you'll get 100 feedback. Don't worry about it. Just do the best job you can, best title. So I want to clarify. We were talking sort of about writing a perfect listing. Do your listings perfect the first time. So when you're just starting, maybe you don't know how to do that. So what you're doing, what a perfect listing is, I'm going to change that to just building a high quality listing. So that's going to be good title, good pictures, good item specifics, good description, good pricing, good return policy. That's what a good listing is. So do the best job you can at that. And eBay has a new listing quality report. So we're talking about building a quality listing. They will tell you how to do a quality report, and every store is going to be different. So I order my boxes from uline.com and by the pallet because it's cheaper to get one. And they have warehouses all over the US, so you should be able to get it in one day. But Uline is not the cheapest. You can find a local box company that's going to be cheaper usually. The only reason I use Uline is it's usually 1 day shipping. Let's see. Suburban Beard says uses USPS mail large boxes. That is against that's like a federal crime, bro. You can't use the post office supplies as your storage, but people do it. I mean, but that's not something I can recommend. But you are supposed to use your own supplies, and you're supposed to use those for shipping items. So don't tell anyone. I won't report you. It's like the people who use the UPS labels to ship through the post office. That's stealing. You're telling UPS that you're going to use those labels for UPS, but then you use them for the post office. That's not free. They're giving you UPS labels that say UPS on them to use for UPS, not the post office. So I don't recommend doing that either. Labels are like half a cent. Like That's not one. Don't take that shortcut. List one more item and buy your own labels. That's my recommendation for people who are getting free labels. Okay. Star Wars figures, vintage plush, vintage T-shirts. It says right on the box it's punishable by a $1,000 fine, I believe. But again, a lot of people speed, but not everyone gets caught. Let's see. Matt, can you chat?
Sure.
What's up? What's going well?
The hiring.
Is going
Very
well or
good.
okay?
Yep. Also, let's see what else is going well. Networking is going really, really well. I got a couple of wholesale customers now, and everything's going super well with that.
How do you network well?
The local watering hole, bro. Shout out to my man Ron that I met yesterday. I know he's probably watching. I met him yesterday and he recognized me from the call. So somebody actually met in person out here in the middle of nowhere in Eastern North Carolina.
So what is he going to do for you?
I don't know. I'll probably end up selling him some stuff. He's a new seller.
Oh, I see. I thought so he's not going to work for you.
I don't know. I'll think about it. I'd have to talk to him a little more first, but maybe.
Okay. So networking at the local watering hole, that's great.
Church is the best, but I don't do church.
Yeah.
Especially in the South, right? You got a Baptist church. You know, everybody has a church. There's a church like 5 per square mile out here. So church is definitely the best because you get high quality people, I think. But at the bar, you know, plenty of people there too.
That's true. Whatever your community-based organization is going to be good. We have now there's a super church near me. Those are insane. Like they have like when they do a fundraiser and 10,000 people bring stuff that they want to sell or give away. I've never been to a mega church sale. I've been to a regular church sale where they have like 400 or 500 in their congregation or maybe 1,000. But there's one here with like 20,000 members. I wonder what that church sale looks like. It's probably ridiculous.
It probably looks a lot like the flea market that you go to.
It might look like the flea market. Yeah, it might be insane. So those of you that
Maybe
live
just a little more diverse though.
Yeah, maybe a little more diverse. Yeah, let me know what you guys if you guys have been to a mega church sale before. Is that what do they call those? The churches that have like over 10,000 members. They're huge. Here there's like it looks like a mall. But
I think you hit it. I think it's a mega church.
Mega church. Let's go with Scott Eifler. Good morning. What's going well in your business?
Hi. Good. Sales are actually picked up. I had a week of dead sales. I have no idea why. Had an IT conflict that they still haven't answered for over 2 weeks, Chris. Ran a sale and it repriced over 1,000 pieces of clothing at a set price, and I couldn't get it back. I have no idea what happened with eBay. Nobody answers me. It's been over 2 weeks. But anyways, tried to redo a little bit. Don't have my normal numbers like $14.95 or $17.95. They all turned into a discounted number. Absolutely crazy. And of course, wait 24 to 48 hours for eBay to answer. I've got 6 calls in now in the last 2 weeks. And no response, no email, no anything. Nice people, don't you know that, but it's just very unresponsive. All of a sudden, sales just kicked in through the, back up to 20 a day.
I love it. Oh, also
Crazy.
a word of encouragement to everyone who's listening right now on eBay. It's actually very difficult to be a good eBay seller. If you get 10 sales a day, that would put you in the top 1.5% of eBay sellers. There's 7 million sellers. 6.9 million of them sell less than 10 a day. So 98.5% of eBay sellers cannot get the 10 sales a day. So if you can get the 10 sales a day, you're literally in the elite of eBay. Let's see.
Crazy.
Let's go with George. George, what's going on? What?
So sporadic, like you were talking about. I mean, I sell different things, and you get your little ups and down peaks, Chris. But you get the climb, and then it just is like drop off. And then it's like a reclimb again. So it's like not just a little disheartening, and just trying to figure out how to not do that. And I understand my store is a bit odd or different with different items in it that may be causing that, but everything's okay. Life goes on.
Let's go with George. George, can you chat?
Morning, Chris. Well, I would say what's been working so far has been staying on task as far as listing. I'm only 2 days in, so today would be my third day of listing consistently. I'm doing about 15 a day, so that's kind of been my goal to, before I go to bed at night, to have those ready to list and list them before I go to bed. So that has been something that I've been focusing on trying to make sure I did, because I'm having pretty consistent sales, not the 10. I'm getting 3 or 4, even 5 a day, but that's without listing, because I've had a lot of projects going on at the house lately, getting this patio built, and so I've been busy with that, and I'm still getting sales. So, and I'm seeing my numbers still increase, which makes me think I'm shooting myself in the foot here. If I was still listing, if I had double the amount of items that I'm selling now, I'd be doubling my money at this point. So it's just dumb not to. So that's kind of what's motivated me. I'm seeing numbers grow without me doing anything. Why not help it by staying busy and focusing on that as well. Plus, I was just talking to Isaiah on the chat. I'm considering going to free returns, something that I've never thought I would, but I keep hearing all the benefits from it. And I have a few questions, and that make me wonder. I sold a GSP item the other day. The buyer said they bought the wrong one. They didn't realize it was way bigger than they needed. Cost me about $22 to ship the item. So they wanted a return. They were super nice about it, and I felt very bad, but that's me losing money both ways in shipping, because it doesn't give you the option to charge them shipping, when you don't have free returns. And that's what I was asking is, if I offer the free shipping, of course, he said by default they pay shipping, but do you lose out on the initial free shipping going to them, or are you able to charge them that as well?
You're not.
So you lose out.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
Somebody's asking in the chat what to do with the Canadian return request. If they don't want to pay for shipping, you have to pay for shipping, or eBay will force you to pay for shipping if it's item not as described. So right. If it is as described, work it out with the buyer and see if maybe you can split it. Just be reasonable with people. Also, I want to clarify. Somebody in the chat said that their sales are up because I ask people to list 10 to 15 items a day. That is not my advice. My advice is to list every day. It could be 1 a day. It doesn't have to be X amount. It's just a habit of doing it daily. And George, you said something interesting that I just added to my list of things to do. All you have to do is do your listing goal today, and then set up tomorrow. So tomorrow you can hit your listing goal too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That is huge. Just like get tomorrow ready.
Yeah, and that's what it was. I have my schedule every day where I do certain things, and there was 2 hours of dead air that I would just sit and do nothing at this point. 2 days ago I started just taking stuff with me. So while we're sitting at the park, because my daughter's old. She's 13, 14. She wants nothing to do with me. She plays with her friend and I just sit around on my phone. I thought, well, I'm going to sit on the bench and take a bunch of stuff, do all my research on these, 10 items. And then tonight I'll button them up and list them. I go, why? I'm just killing time on TikTok, so it's like, I'm going to use this to my advantage. And honestly, it's about almost a 2-hour window that we're sitting at this park, or they're doing their thing. That hour and a half, almost 2 hours was taken. It felt like forever, when I'm sitting on my phone, just wasting time. The last 2 days, that hour and a half goes super quick. I'm like, to the point that I was almost late to pick up my other kid from school. So it definitely helps get through the day a little faster.
Thank you, George. Daniel, can you chat?
Hey, how you doing? I don't know if you gonna get feedback from it. I don't wanna touch
No,
it.
you sound good.
Okay, good.
What's going well?
Well, I shifted into clothing full time about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and sort of like blowing out the hard goods, trying to make room for the clothing. Yesterday, did a buy of 1980s and 1990s Liz Claiborne vintage new with tags. Approximately about 2,500 to 3,000 pieces. So I got my hands full, and just sort of like going with your model 20, 30 a day, trying to scale that up. But I'm a little concerned because I'm like you, where I just go all in, and I feel like I'm taking on a little bit too much. I'm very concerned, because I know the customer complaints and questions are going to start piling up, and returns, and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, that is interesting. As you grow, it's almost like I honestly do want to change my personality type. I would rather be the slow and steady person. So I just need to surround myself with slow and steady people, and then change my mindset from the person that's in a hurry to slow and steady person, because the slow and steady person always makes more money. Always.
I mean,
Always.
so it's really hard to predict. I mean, I can kind of predict what my sales are going to be, sort of like going by 1 out of 200 or something like that. I can look at the sell through and kind of predict my, the amount of sales I'll have. And I have a goal to get to by the end of the summer. But what I can't predict is all of the collateral issues that are going to come with those increased sales. From dealing with the customers and returns and all that sort of thing, and then I'm also, very fearful that I end up with an inventory situation that I can't manage. God forbid I can't find an item that I have to ship. So that's why I just joined the $35, group, because I figure I need to get in here and get with people who have more experience than me that I can lean on a little bit.
It is weird because yesterday I did that video on the top sellers on eBay, and I got a whole bunch of top sellers to message me. And one gentleman said, "I'm a dying breed. I work really hard." And I'm like, there's plenty of people who work really hard. They're just not on Instagram.
Sure.
They might be in this group. We have Christine in the group doing a full-time job and kids and the eBay store. So there's definitely people putting in the work. They're just not necessarily out there.
Oh yeah, it takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Trinia in the chat is asking about, has anyone ever had their store refreshed? Yes, but that's the wrong thing to think about. Don't think about having your store refreshed or delist, relist, or deleting the eBay app and reloading the eBay app, or waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to turn on eBay to see if that works. Don't do things that are silly. Just do things that work, like listing all the time. Or sorry, not listing all the time, listing consistently, building quality listings, getting items in your store that people actually want to buy. That's more important than store refreshes or all this other stuff that people talk about. That these hacks, they don't do anything. First, if your store has 500 items instead of 250 items, you'll make more money. So just think about having a bigger store.
So let me ask you a question specifically, if that's
Yep.
okay.
Go ahead.
So I sell probably about 10 items a day on average. It's been hard goods mostly for the last like year or so.
Okay.
I'm wanting to increase to 50 a day by the end of the summer.
Yep.
You know, what would your focus be? I have to develop an inventory storage space.
Yep.
And I really need to develop the systems to process things. I'm doing about 20 or 30 a day, or 20 or 30 in a few hours. It takes me about 4 minutes, 40 seconds per item. So, I mean, what would you be focused on getting up all of these listings as quick as possible? You know, if you made this bulk deal, or would you be more focused on getting the systems in place to be able to manage them?
If you don't have your system in place, you have to redo things. So redoing things takes a really long time. So I would choose some kind of system, and later, if you do decide to change it all in one day. To give you guys, like as an example, I'm changing my inventory system to only boxes. It used to be boxes and bins, and that's why I was losing items, because the way that I was storing the items was different. So when I went to go back to different systems, items were lost. So I took one day yesterday and redid one whole section, though, so it's all the same. And that's how I would upgrade as you go, because everyone starts with pile on the floor, 2 piles on the floor, one shelf, garage, basement, attic, and then you slowly turn it into one congruent system. For you, cash flow wise, you gotta. I would say don't scale to 50 listings per day, because that's too many. I would just slowly, I would pick like, I actually don't know. In the group, what do you guys think? How fast should you add? I always add too many. I would, what's a comfortable pace to grow at? Maybe one a week. Robin says 10%, add one extra per day each week. Yeah, I think maybe that's a good way to do it.
So my plan was 20 a week. 20 a day, and I've been doing that for a little over a month. May, I was going to do 30 a day, June, 40 a day, and then July and August, 50 a day. And that'll put me at a target at the end of August. But again, I'm not sure I can manage that. Does that sound realistic, or reasonable?
From a fellow unreasonable person, it doesn't sound reasonable. It's too fast. Well, one per week would be good. 20 this week, 21 next week, 22 the next week. It'll only take you 30 weeks. That's till the end of the year. 50 a day is a huge business.
Yeah.
So you don't need, that's, I wish someone had sat me down and been like, look, slow is fast. But it's hard. I don't know why it's hard for me to understand that. For some people get it right away. Like, oh yeah, you said slow is fast, so I'll do it slow. I hear slow is fast, and I'm like, I don't have time for slow. So I do it fast, and it ends up being slow.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
For me personally, slow is fast and everything, but it's like I live two lives. From 7 a.m. to like 2 p.m., I'm like super hardcore work mode, Matt. And then after 2 p.m., it's drunk yard dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I feel like you can kind of have both,
You can, no, it's not the effort part. It's like, you got a much bigger space, but you didn't bring on like 5 new employees. You like incrementally grow, even though you work really hard. Working hard is the default. You have to work hard. No one's, but like Matt, as fast and as productive as you are, I still consider you relatively patient.
I was just thinking about it. Like, I only want to work 4 or 5 hours a day, right? So if I tried to grow really like a whole hell of a lot really quickly, that would force me to work more than 4 or 5 hours a day to catch up with that. And I'm like, I'm not interested in working more than 4 or 5 hours a day. So I can't grow that fast, because it's going to force me to spend more time here.
That is interesting. If you go ahead, Robin.
I was just going to say, a business person once gave me the advice that you should figure out what kind of life you want and then build the business that works for that life, which is what Matt is doing. Like, I think a lot of people think they can grow really, really fast, work really, really hard, and then go back and get their life back. You know, kind of like the tech startup model, not tech in sports, but like Silicon Valley tech. And I think in this business, you don't, because like setting boundaries is really good, I think. Because it forces you to get faster. So if Matt wants to make more money, he has to get faster at what he does because he's not going to work more than 5 hours.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Versus like, I want to double my sales, so I'm going to work twice as hard. And then your kids and your family are like, where are you? Like, why? And of course, you're never going to be like, well, I only want to do half as many sales. I'm only going to work half as much. So
I mean, that's right. Your physical health, your relationship with others, and then your vocation. Those are usually what makes people the most happy. If you're happy, you have great friends and business colleagues, and then you like what you do, you're going to be a happy person. That's like really good, right? So, but if you are successful at business, but you're not healthy and you don't have good friends and family, then you're going to be miserable. So you kind of have to have all of it. But if you have a poor business, it can affect your self-worth and be detrimental on your health and your relationships also. It's like you have to make $70K a year. That's like if you can make $70,000 a year, then you won't have low self-esteem, because they've like shown that if you make less than 70,000, you may not feel like you're, you know, and after 70,000, you're not necessarily happier. That's like what the study says.
You know,
So,
Tech makes this point about if there's an opportunity there and he doesn't have storage, like if the opportunity is good enough, he'll make room, like he'll make it work after, right?
Yep.
And so I'm in that situation where, you know, I've got people at the bins that are supplying me stuff. The flea market has been amazing. There's other estate sale opportunities. So, I mean, there's almost like an endless supply of good product. And so I feel like, you know, it's a missed opportunity if I don't find a way to like start getting this stuff up on eBay. But at the same time, yeah, all the problems that come with it.
I feel like as you become a more established reseller, you will not have a supply problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever.
Can I say something real quick, Chris?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think like if you grow too fast, you'll just make loads of mistakes really quick. Like I think if you get the processes in place first, then you can scale to any size later. I think it's important to kind of make the mistakes while your store is small, because if you make the mistakes while your store is big, then the consequences are going to be bigger. Like personally, I think like, I mean, it's just a personal opinion, but I think get the processes in place first. And then once they're there and everything's systematic, then you can scale to any level that you want to, can't you? I think. And in terms of like listing, I think like do list 1% of your store plus what you sell that day, and then you'll grow. But that's the personal opinion.
That is an interesting thing. Do you list? I guess it depends on how fast you sell things. You know, there's people who sell everything in their store every month. Then you need to list 3% of your store every day. If your stuff takes a year to sell, maybe you don't need to list that many. It's like the long tail store. I think is that gentleman's name Terminal 99. He has like the 25,000 huge store that has all these crazy trinkets and sells one every 9 months. Or Scavenger Life does that. They have a massive store with random things. So that model works too. Let's see. Robin, did you have an? We'll go to Isaiah. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Daniel, are you capable of processing the amount of inventory that you're getting? Because for me, I always increase based off of my sourcing as well. However, I make sure that I'm able to process based off of, how much I'm sourcing. So if you can process it, then sure. But if you can't actually process all the items, you're just going to end up with a huge death pile in your house, just filled with stuff that you can't actually list. potentially?
Well, the buy yesterday, I estimate it's 1,500 to 2,000. It's going to take me about a month to process that. You know, I mean, if you do the math on it at 50 a day, it'd be about a month. If I stick to 30 a day, it's going to be about 7 weeks or so, 8 weeks. So it's going to keep me busy a while. But
Would you be buying more inventory during that time, or just
yeah,
that?
I have people that are bringing me stuff from the bins every week, and I meet with them, and that's actually a whole other problem because I have 3 different groups of people who are at the bins competing against each other to get me stuff. So,
So the consequence of that is going to be you're going to have those 2,000 pieces that's going to take you 7 weeks to go through. And then you're going to be still getting other stuff that's going to take
right,
X amount of time to go through, which
yeah,
means that, like, unless you're processing 60, 70, maybe 100 a day, you're not going to get through all the inventory that you're getting. And you're just going to
yeah.
have a huge pile of stuff that's just unlisted.
You know,
And eventually you're going to have to stop them.
the Liz Claiborne stuff, like I'm doing men's clothing. I got a brand list of like 40 different brands, and I don't know a lot about clothing, so I just wanted to stick with those and learn it. But then this women's clothing thing popped up, and it was just too good of a deal to let it go. I mean, it's just insane. That's the thing. It's like I didn't really want this stuff. I didn't want the volume, and I didn't want the types of things, but it was just too good of a deal. And
What I would tell them is that you're inundated with clothing right now. And as a result, you need to kind of take a bit of a pause, and you'll like contact them later. Just because you're going to end up over flooding yourself without a doubt. Because like you said, you're not that experienced in clothing. So like you won't be able to actually handle all of that. Like, what are you going to do in the situation in which you have a bunch of people asking you questions about the clothing and you don't really know the answers?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to take a long time for you to figure that stuff out too. Not saying that, it's not a wonderful opportunity or anything like that. It's just that you might not be in the position at this moment to be able to handle all of that. Like, if I was getting 100 pairs of shoes a day, I wouldn't be able to deal with that because I can't list that many. You know what I mean? And everything is going to increase trying to go to 50 a day. And based off of the amount of inventory you're getting, 50 a day won't even be enough. You need to be doing 100, maybe 115 every day.
So this is thank you, Isaiah. That is great feedback because can't turn down the deal is really distracting. Okay, like as an example, my clothing business is on fire, and I spent $25,000 on shoes in the last 60 days. It's not even related to what I'm doing because it's such a good deal, right? But now it's just like I have to now create time I don't have to list all of it, which I will, but then that comes at the sacrifice of everything else. And you can do it temporarily, but it's hard because what Brian mentioned, you might lose your buyers is interesting because if you have people buying from you, the worst thing that can happen is I don't want any more, because then they'll just not use you anymore. You have to have the right setup so that you can afford to buy it. You can buy all of it, and you can keep them. You can buy enough that they can make a living. It's kind of a funky thing, but buying things because it's a really good deal it's a dangerous game because there's always so many good deals from my experience in reselling. It's just, your listing capacity. What Isaiah mentioned was interesting. There's a gentleman, I forgot his name, but he does that. He looks for giant lots. Then he hires a bunch of people at one time to get it all listed. So let's say Isaiah did get 100 pairs of shoes. And then he's like, hey, Chris, on this weekend, can you come help me? And if I was in his neighborhood, maybe I would go help him that weekend, get it up. Temporary help. That's an option. And that's difficult though, because you have to know what you're doing so that they're not screwing up your store. Because then what ends up happening when you hire people to help you with a big lot that don't know what they're doing, you're paying them to screw up your store. I've done that too. So, Shazad in the chat, Shazad's a big seller in the UK. He's saying, if you can double your output with your current process, that's a good example of whether or not you can scale. So could Isaiah go from 10 shoes a day to 20 shoes a day? Based on that experiment, he could decide is he ready for 100 a day, or how long would it take to get to 100 a day? That's a useful experiment. Everyone should maybe think about that. Maybe we'll have that conversation next week. What would it take to double your business? Go ahead, Isaiah.
That actually has been one of the biggest things for me recently. I've kind of come to terms with the idea of not hiring employees right now or any time in the future, because based off of my current speed, I'm doing listings at like 5 minutes, 5 seconds per listing, and photos take about an hour for 50 sets of photos.
Mhm.
So at that speed, I could technically do 50 pairs of shoes a day in like 8 to 10 hours, including like shipping off the pairs that sell each day. So that means that, like, you were talking about some guy that learned how to cobble himself, and as a result, he does like 37 pairs a day or something like that.
Mhm.
For me, it's like, if I'm doing 50 pairs a day and I can do it in 8 to 10 hours, it's not really a need for me to hire employees at any point if 50 is the highest that I want to go to. Right now, I'm doing 25 and I can do it in like 4 or 5 hours. So I feel like even if I don't get any faster, I can complete my whole process in 10 hours.
This is Tino, the Soul Advisor, and I'm actually going to end on this note because it's such a good model. It's one of the best models I've ever seen. So Tino, the Soul Advisor, I don't know if he makes YouTube videos anymore, but his model was he wants to make $200,000 a year. That's the goal. So 200,000 ends up being, what is the math? Okay, 1,000 shoes per month. So it's 33 per day, Isaiah. 1,000 pairs per month at $20 minimum profit. That's the idea. That's the goal behind 200,000 and 20,000 per month. So what he does is he professionally cobbles every single shoe. He has all of the equipment, and 33 shoes a day is not impossible. You could do it yourself if you work the entire day. He doesn't. He has a couple people who help him, but that model, it's like the vision is clear right from the beginning. He when he had this goal, he had a newborn. And I think one of the reasons why he doesn't do YouTube is he doesn't have enough time. So his non-negotiable, what Robin was saying was, you pick your non-negotiable. So his non-negotiable was, I can do my shoe business and my family, and I don't have time to do YouTube right now, right? For me, it's the same. I don't have time to edit my YouTube videos, but I have time to do lives or record a quick thought. But like, I haven't missed, not that it's been that long, but I've done almost every single thing I want to do with my baby. I haven't missed any doctor's appointments. I have time. So you pick that and then you do what you can with the rest of the time. It's hard though. It's the non-negotiables is really, really, really important. You have to pick your non-negotiables, and that will help you dictate everything. Like Daniel needs to pick something. No, I will not buy these things. And you know, that's the only way that you can narrow it down. Otherwise, you just get more and more and more and more inventory, more categories. But everyone have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys hopefully this afternoon for the afternoon coaching. Take care, guys.